Hello, welcome to Let's Talk with me, your host, Irene Solo. Today is Thursday, and as usual, on Thursdays we normally have a guest. And today we have a beautiful soul, a beautiful personality, a woman of substance, and she's joining us today. And it's none other than Susan and Dora, a very beautiful soul. So I'm just gonna welcome her in so you can be able to see her. There was a time she was supposed to be with us, but she was not feeling well. So Susan, you are welcome. Thank you so much, and I believe you're going to be greatly blessed and greatly encouraged as you listen to Susan. Okay, Suzanne, as she's coming, please let me just tell you a little bit about her as they are bringing her in from the backstage, because I know that she's a beautiful soul. She's one person who's very warm. She's somebody who's gone through so much in life, but she's been standing the test of time. No matter the circumstances, she has stayed true to herself. So, as an adjunct professor, Suzanne Andorra Baron teaches yoga for stress management to high school and college students. As a yoga instructor and a certified Jin Shin Jutsu practitioner, I think I didn't pronounce it well, but she'll tell us better. Her goal is to offer her students, young and middle age alike, lifelong tools to find their way towards self-healing, strength, and an inner calm. Suzanne is the founder and president of the Christopher Baron Live Life Foundation that started in memory of her son, Christopher. So I don't know why she's taking long to come in, but they're working on that in the background. But then one thing you need to know is that Suzanne lost her son at a very young age. And she has been somebody who has really encouraged people through it all. She has stood the test of time. She's resiliently, even though sometimes losing a loved one, you go through emotional turmoil and all that, but she's still been able to stand up and encourage other people. So I just want you to open up your heart as you're waiting to listen to her, to know that no matter the challenges that you are going through today, no matter the problems that you find yourself going through today, one thing you need to know is that if you are resilient enough, you will be able to get out stronger. No matter what you're going through today is a teaching. It's a process, a learning process for you. And as much as it's a learning process for you, it's a learning process for the people also around you. It's never too late. Don't ever look at yourself and think, oh no, why did I go through this? Why is it me? Why did I find myself in this situation? No, you should always know that the situation you found yourself in is an opportunity for growth. That's Matimba Power just with us there. He's going to bring in Suzanne so that we can be able to talk to Suzanne. Suzanne, thank you so much, and sorry for the delay. How are you doing?
Thank you, Irene. So nice to see you, and thank you so much for having me as a guest. I really am excited to be here.
Tell me something, Suzanne. I was just telling everybody of what you do, the yoga and all that. There's one that I could not be able to pronounce it. You'll be able to teach us. I know you are a teacher, so you can be able
Jinshin Jitsu.
Please repeat it again.
Jinshin Jitsu. So the way I often describe it is Jin, think of the drink.
Mm-hmm.
Shin, think of your shin bone.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jitsu. And Jitsu shares its name with, Jiu-Jitsu, which is more of martial arts.
Okay, Jin Shin Jitsu. I like that. It's like you are being poetic there. Jin Shin Jitsu.
Yes. And Jitsu just means the art of. So art of, more martial arts. Mine is definitely, it's light touch healing. It is not martial arts.
So what is Jin Shi Jitsu all about, really? What is it all about?
It's literally, we can use, it's like acupuncture without the needles. So literally there's 52 places on our body, and we can hold them to support ourselves emotionally and to release pain and discomfort. And balance mind, body, and spirit. So a very simple one that I give my students on the very first day of school is I have them hold their thumb, because each of the fingers balance a different emotion, open a different body part, and they also balances a different organ. And so I just ask them to hold their thumb very gently and focus on their.
I'm holding mine. I'm holding mine.
Now, don't squeeze. Most people squeeze, very
Okay.
gentle.
Mm-hmm.
I have them hold it. You don't want to hold it up here because you hike your shoulders up. That's the yoga teacher in me. If you hold
Okay.
it down in your lap. Then
Okay.
I have them close their eyes and focus on their breath, maybe 3, 4, 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the most fascinating. Yeah, give it a try. Let's try it with all the whole audience.
I'm actually trying. Okay, explain it. I just hold my thumb and then do I
Hold
breathe
your
in and breathe
thumb.
out? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, close your eyes and
Mm-hmm.
just inhale through the nose and then exhale through the nose if it's comfortable. If not, exhale through the mouth. And then inhale again and exhale. And we're just going to do it 3 times. Inhale and exhale. And then when you feel ready, letting your eyes float open. I think we lost you. I lost you.
No, no, I'm here, but that's so relaxing.
Isn't it so relaxing?
Yeah. That's so relaxing.
So the thumb calms worry. And it also
Oh.
helps with giving you more energy and it because it calms and balances spleen and stomach energy, and spleen energy gives us more energy as well as
Mhm.
cleans the body, and stomach energy is digestion.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. It felt as if there was this heavy weight on my shoulder that just went down.
Yes. So I've my students, now they're 18, 19 years old. These were the
Yeah.
college students.
Mhm.
One had social anxiety. And so before he introduced himself, the first, beginning of school in class, he
Mhm.
would hold his thumb and breathe. Now he did it with his eyes open because he was in class. And he
Mhm.
said by the time they got to him,
Mhm.
he didn't
Mhm.
have social anxiety anymore. He was ready to speak.
Wow, wow, that's interesting. Does it mean that when you hold your thumb, it's like all the anxiety or maybe all the stress, you push it towards your thumb or something like that?
No, it's not like that at all. So we have it's literally helping to balance and bring mind, body, and spirit back into balance, and it's
Mm-hmm.
helping you to release it wherever you're holding it. So one thing I also do, and this isn't in Shinjitsu, this is more of my mindset work, is
Mm-hmm.
when you're feeling stressed,
Mm-hmm.
I ask you to close your eyes and notice where you feel it in the body, like where are you holding it in the body,
Mm-hmm.
and then breathe into that, but only focusing on the emotion,
Mm-hmm.
because the if we keep focusing on the thoughts, well, we'll worry till the cows come home, right? Because those thoughts keep
Yeah.
us going.
Yeah.
But it's really just helping to release emotional blockages that are stuck.
Wow, that's interesting. There are a lot of things that we take for granted. We look at them, it's like we just take them for granted. And actually, by just doing that, holding my thumb and breathing in and out, I actually felt a little bit of relief and I actually felt a bit relaxed. So I wish many people can understand that. Hence, we are here for Susan to be able to explain all these things to you. So before we even go deeper, please tell us more. Who is Susan?
Yes, who is Suzanne? Wow, we're so used to giving our titles, right?
Yeah,
We give our titles and all the things we do.
yeah.
Who is Suzanne? Gosh, that's a big question. I'm a mom,
Mhm.
a wife,
Mhm.
a Christian,
Mhm.
um, and I really my I really, really love teaching. I'm a huge learner. I'm a lifelong learner. And when I learn something really powerful, I
Mhm.
love sharing it with my
Okay.
students and my clients,
Mhm.
because there's always room for growth. No matter
Okay.
our age, there's
Mhm.
always an opportunity to learn. And I'm really passionate about how we can help ourselves simply by using what God gave us.
Wow. 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 I like that because God has given us a lot of things. For instance, you just gave me an example of holding my thumb. That's my, just from my hands. And then
Yes.
breathing in and breathing out. Many times I think we look for solutions everywhere else apart from inside, apart from ourselves. So, what do
Yes.
you have to say concerning that? Because you teaching people to be able to appreciate what God has given to them, but then and to use it. But then most of the time, we really don't want to use what we have. We want to use everything else apart from what we have. So, how can you advise somebody on that?
I think what it is I think it's partially confidence, and I think it's a little bit of the ego. We think that everyone outside of us,
Mm-hmm.
knows better. So, like a book, oh, so and so published a book, they must know better. And what
Mm-hmm.
I often teach is we can learn so much from the outside, but the
Mm-hmm.
greatest wisdom comes within.
I love that. The greatest lesson comes from within. I wish everybody can be able to learn that. And have you ever realized that if you work on yourself, you actually decide that let me change myself from within. You actually become a better version of yourself.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier I was feeling a little anxious because I am working on a course and I'm
Oh,
seeking
sorry.
to upload it on a platform that I've never used. So I was feeling agitated, right?
Yeah.
And so I literally got a cup of tea and
Mm-hmm.
I sat down and I
Mm-hmm.
pulled out a gratitude journal.
Wow. Okay. Please
And
ignore that. My lighting just went out.
it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Go with the flow, right?
We are being authentic. So some of these things do happen. So we have to learn that. Yes. So
Yes.
continue. Yes.
Yes, so I usually work on a gratitude journal at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't usually do it in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was chatting with someone the other day, and they
Mm-hmm.
suggested that she does it in the morning. And so, literally, after lunch, I started writing out what I was grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And within moments,
Mm-hmm.
that agitation of not knowing how to do the tech, because it was all tech related,
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt so excited. I felt so grateful and so
Mm-hmm.
present,
Mm-hmm.
and it shifted it like that. And I often practice visualization. I
Mm-hmm.
practice visualization every morning,
Okay.
and just 4 minutes, 4 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
4 minutes of visualization can
Mm-hmm.
change 8 hours of worry, can cancel out 8 hours of worry.
Okay. Tell me something. When you talk about visualization, what do you do at that time of visualization?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It
Mm-hmm.
varies, but a lot of the time, I close my eyes, I think about my day, and I
Mm-hmm.
imagine myself at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
picturing how it went and
Mm-hmm.
all of the connections I had and the success I had. And success can mean anything. Success can mean I worked, I it doesn't have to be business. It can be, I had a wonderful lunch with my husband, and we really connected, or it
Mm-hmm.
can really be anything. But
Mm-hmm.
um and if I have something that I'm doing that day, if I feel like it's a little challenging,
Mm-hmm.
I visualize it as I want it to go. And then I get, and this is a little strange, but the body doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. That's why
Mm-hmm.
visualization is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it all, like, clap my hands and go like this, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm conjuring up feelings I may not be feeling in that moment. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, the body doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. That's
Mm-hmm.
why fear is so powerful, because we're
Mm-hmm.
making up stories that aren't real, but the
Mm-hmm.
body doesn't know the difference. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why visualization is so powerful. But sometimes, Irene, it's super
Mm-hmm.
simple. It'll be like, oh, I'm alive. I
Mm-hmm.
get to be outside. I
Mm-hmm.
visualize the beginning of my day when I'm walking to my car. I feel the ground under my feet. I feel the sun on my face. Or if it's raining, wow, how beautiful that I get to feel the raindrops on my face.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the cool or the warm air. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I just ground myself on that. And then when I'm walking from my car into the college, and if it's raining,
Mm-hmm.
like, usually we're like, it's raining,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and I'll be like, oh, I get to feel God's gift of rain on my face.
Wow,
And
wow.
visualized it in the morning.
Wow, I like that. In other words, you actually encouraging us to be positive. It's like positivity, gratitude, because most of the time I've come to realize when life is overwhelming, we forget about any good thing that has happened. I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, you could do everything 9 out of 10, 9 of them right, and then when the last 10, the 10th one comes in and it's wrong, you forget about all the right and you just concentrate on complaining about the one. So gratitude is important, and I like the fact that you say you actually start visualizing your day from morning and you start being grateful throughout the day. It's very important. I wish we can all learn that because it is quite important. I have another question quickly. You said when you get to college and then now maybe if it's raining, you'll be thanking God for the gift of rain and all that. So what subjects do you teach
Yes,
as a
I
professor?
teach
Yeah.
yoga for stress management,
Mm-hmm.
and I have, so it's a community college near my house,
Mm-hmm.
and I have college students, of course, because it's a community college.
Yeah.
And then I also have 16-year-old students. I have juniors, so maybe 16, 17. There is a charter school. It's a public school, but it's a public school that you have to apply to.
Yeah.
Their school is on our campus. So
Okay.
for all of their physical education classes, they come up to the college. And junior year, they take weightlifting
Mm-hmm.
and yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach yoga,
Mm-hmm.
and because it's a college class,
Mm-hmm.
I have to grade them. Like
Okay.
grading in yoga is unheard of, right?
Yeah.
So I I bring life lessons in. So they have to keep a gratitude journal for maybe a week or two, and then they have to answer 4 questions. And
Okay.
it's all reflection.
Okay.
They have to do a mindfulness assignment
Mm-hmm.
where they have to single task one activity for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. My children are older than these kids, right? So I sometimes they just kind of blow me away, the things they multitask, like, doing Netflix, doing their homework in front of Netflix. And so that one week, they'll
Mm-hmm.
just focus on their homework, and they'll come and they'll say, wow, I did so well in school when I didn't have Netflix on in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's things like that. I always have, in the gratitude journal, it's like you said, 10 things, 9 things can go right, and the 10th thing is bad. And then we get stuck in complaining. And
Yeah.
what's so amazing when these students, and they're only writing down 3 to 5 things each day,
Mm-hmm.
I ask them to try to make it different rather than doing the same thing.
Okay.
And at the end of it, they're shocked by how much happier they are. They see so much more, simple things, like simple teenage things. I remember one boy one year said he used to feel so sad when he didn't get to see his girlfriend, but
Mm-hmm.
after doing the gratitude journal, he saw there was so many other beautiful things in his life, and it was okay on days he didn't see her.
Mm-hmm.
So they really bring it down to their lives, but they find it's so, like the end of school, they're like, wow, I thought your assignment was really dumb in the beginning. I thought it was a waste of time, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize like how lucky I am. That's usually what they say.
Wow. Okay. So when you tell them to write 4 things, those 4 things are things that you don't give specific things. You just tell them, just write something that you did differently. Or
So no, I say, just write down things that you're grateful for, 3 to 5 things each
Mhm,
day. And then I give examples. It could be a hot shower. It could be the
mhm,
sunshine. It could be seeing a friend. It could be a warm cup of tea. And I say
mm,
sunshine, shower, and warm cup of tea because I want it to be like, I don't want them to have to think it's something huge, right?
yeah.
It's simple. A lot of them will say my cozy bed, the fact that I get to go to a school, this special school. So
Yeah. That's interesting. It's just showing you how much we need to be grateful for everything. You know, there's a song that says, "Count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done." If you can just start looking at every small thing around you, the gift of life, the gift of trees, the wind, the family you have, the friends, the fact that you can eat, the fact that you can walk, the fact that you can even talk. I remember one time when I was actually, this is an example, I haven't given it to anybody, but actually, when my husband was sick, there was a time that his vocal cords completely, I don't know whether they cut off or something like that. If he was talking, you could not hear him well, and they were shaking. So it made me realize, because this is somebody who had such a beautiful voice, is somebody who had a commanding voice. So it made me realize, every time I sit down, I'm like, imagine if somebody had such a beautiful and commanding voice, and they got to a point where they could not really be able to talk that well. We need to be grateful for the simple things that we can be able to talk, for the simple things that we can be able to smile, for the simple things that we can be able to even eat. I remember the time that he could not even be able to walk because he kept on saying his feet are painful and things like that. I've learned to be grateful for the fact that I can get up and walk. And you know, sometimes I see many people that sometimes are very sick, they cannot even get out of bed, and here we are, we can be able to get up, move around, but yet we complain. So I
Yes.
always tell people, good to be grateful for the little things. Yes, you wanted to say something.
Yes, no, I agree 100% with you. I think we forget that we have clean water, and we forget that we sleep in a, we have air conditioning. Well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I was just at my son's apartment in Seattle, and he didn't have air conditioning during the heat wave. But, but
Mm-hmm.
we can, like you said, we can speak, we can move, we can.
Mm-hmm.
But we forget. And and I think the thing is it's okay to forget sometimes, because we're human, and I
Yeah.
think we expect to be superhuman, and then we don't want to we don't want to be hard on ourselves, because we're
Yeah.
so hard on ourselves already. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to beat ourselves up that we forget.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just, if we have these small practices and we make them part of our day, and we don't even have to have too many. If you don't have any of these, start with maybe holding your thumb and breathing in the morning, for 3 minutes, or keeping a gratitude journal. And slowly you'll shift, and then you'll forget, and then
Mm-hmm.
you'll remember, and then you'll forget.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is, because I've seen people that sometimes you talk to, and then they do something, maybe they are not consistent, and then they start blaming themselves, condemning themselves, that I've been trying, but I keep failing. So people like that, you literally encouraging them that, no, you keep on doing it. No matter how many times you fall, keep getting up. Is that what you're telling them?
Yes, yes. And I have to say, I've been doing these practices. So, for example, the gratitude journal, now this is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was just away, I did it some of the nights, but not all of them. And I
Mm-hmm.
came home, and I kind of, even though I've been doing it for 3 years, I
Mm-hmm.
fell out of the practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I literally I didn't do it for maybe a week, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
just restarted it today. And
Mm-hmm.
you don't realize that when you
Mm-hmm.
keep a gratitude journal, you are
Mm-hmm.
happier. And I have felt more agitated these last few days, and
Mm-hmm.
I almost couldn't figure it out. But I do think it's the simple practice of writing down what you're grateful for,
Wow.
and but, like, yeah, sometimes. So what happens with a lot of people, me included, is we start to feel so good, right?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
so good. I mean,
Mhm.
this even happened. I'm going to bring it back to my son. So
Yeah.
this happened after my son passed. Now, I was in a very, very dark place,
Yeah.
obviously, and
Mhm.
I couldn't pray, because I didn't know what to pray. Like, I
Mhm.
couldn't talk to God. I didn't have words because I was so angry at
Mhm.
him. And so I started reading scripture. I started doing Bible studies.
Yeah.
And so, and I, like, in a very, very dark place, but
Yeah.
then I'd feel stronger, right? I would do it for,
Yeah.
maybe I'd do the Bible study every single day, and then I'd feel stronger. And it relates to the gratitude journal, but on a much deeper level, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I'm like, hey, I'm good. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
need to read that scripture
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
Interesting.
then I would
Mhm.
sink so
Mhm.
low. like this is the key part, I
Mm-hmm.
would end up in a deep, dark hole
Mm-hmm.
because,
Mm-hmm.
I am grieving the death of my little boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stepped away from God. Like, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
God, I got this. I'm good. I don't need to talk to you anymore. And then I
Mm-hmm.
stepped away.
Mm-hmm.
And the hole I sunk into was so much darker and so much deeper. And even just in that simple gratitude, now granted, I was just agitated without doing it.
Yeah.
But when we do step away from those practices, it takes longer. So don't be surprised that it's not overnight, that okay, I skipped 5 days. Well, one day is not going to get you back. You got to stick with it.
Wow, consistency is the key. That's great. No, you've spoken about your son. How old was your son when you lost him?
Nine,
Hmm.
9 years old.
How many years back is that?
It's 16. It'll be 17 next Tuesday.
Wow. Many times people fail to understand that when you are out there talking to people, it's not because you think you're better, but most of the time it's because you've gone through a particular challenge and you have realized that you cannot be able to overcome it alone, and that you needed people around you to help you through it. So tell me, how did you overcome this, and how are you overcoming it? Because I know this is not an overnight thing, and many people tell you time heals all wounds. Tell me, what do you have to say about that?
Time does not heal all wounds. I think it starts with, you have to want to get better, and it
Okay.
won't be immediate. Like in the beginning, I didn't want to get better. I didn't want anything. I was very low functioning. Like if I could get out of bed and get my little boy to school, because my younger son was 7 when he lost his big brother,
Mm-hmm.
just like, I remember saying to myself, I'm going to do 5 things today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One was brushing my teeth, one
Mm-hmm.
was getting out of bed. I mean, it was really basic, and slowly. And one thing, I'm a big journaler. So
Mm-hmm.
I kept a daily journal,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll explain why that was beneficial. I would write letters to Christopher. My
Yeah.
faith was crucial. I
Yeah.
started seeing a grief therapist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and keeping the daily journal. So when it became, a lot of people think the second year is so much harder. That's what
Yeah.
I hear a lot.
Yeah.
And so I felt that way too. Yet
Yeah.
I went back and looked at all those daily journals, like go back 1 year and look.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second year is harder because you expect it to be easier.
Oh, I think that's a great point, because you expect, okay, after this long time, I'm supposed to get used to the person not being there, and I'm supposed to be comfortable with moving on without them. Yeah, you're right.
Yes. Yes. But when I would go back and look at what I was doing a year before, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't leave the house. Wasn't washing my hair. I was going to the school, picking up my son, coming home, and I was much more low functioning. That's what I'm trying to say. Like
Yeah.
the second year, even though I was still in so much pain,
Mm.
it was leaps further than I was the year before.
Mm. Okay, explain that, please. Explain that.
So yes. So like the second year, maybe I'd returned to yoga class. The year before, I remember a family member, like a older family
Yeah.
member, they had
Mm.
a renewing of vows in
Mm.
far away. You had to take an airplane ride. You had to get on a
Yeah.
plane to go.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
my entire family went.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm not going. We're not going. I don't want to celebrate. I don't want to celebrate them. I don't want to celebrate anyone. Like, how could I celebrate when my son just died? Right.
Mm, mm, mm,
And,
mm,
people would call me and be like, I have the best news. And I'm like, what's good news? There's no good news, you
mm.
know? And I couldn't see beyond myself because I was in such a horrible place. But maybe 365 days later, I was, like I said, I was less, probably still very focused on me, but less focused on me. Like I
Yeah.
was in the world a little bit more. I
Yeah.
was organizing play dates for my son.
Yeah.
My husband. So I always say I have 2 children, but I have one living child.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And my husband, son, and I, we planned a trip We went away,
Mm-hmm.
so I was higher functioning, and that's what I mean.
Okay. So tell me something. There's something that I've heard many people say and do. If you like, you had Christopher and the brother, and then Christopher passed on. You did not have the desire, because there are a lot of people who will tell you then they want to replace the child who went, and that way they decide to get another child. While others, they will tell you that they never want to have another child because they don't want that child to take the place of the other one. How did you feel about that? Oh,
No,
okay.
we needed Ryan needed so much, like any child who lost their sibling,
Yeah.
needed so much attention, so much love, so much support. And like I said, I could barely function myself. I
Yeah.
don't know how I would have parented another child when I was in such deep grief.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe, yes, I'm sure would have brought joy. Yes, of course. But I don't think my body could have physically handled a pregnancy, because I was in such despair.
Okay. That's it's interesting because I remember I was talking to another lady, and all she said to me is that all because she lost her child, all she wanted was to get her child back, and she literally got another child. But then what was so interesting about this is like she treated this child more or less like the other one, of which I think personally, I don't know, I've never been in that place, but I think that people deal with pain differently, and that's why I wanted to ask you that question as somebody who has lost a child, because I don't know how, I cannot judge, but I really don't know how people handle that, because it's
I have a lot. I was in a grief group,
yeah,
and for parents who lost a child. This was
yeah,
before Facebook,
yeah.
and so there was the discussion, like, will you have another child? Not to replace. No, 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 no. Like, could never. And I remember asking my younger son at the time, like, would you want like a sibling that's alive? And so smart, so wise at 7 years old. He's like, no, mommy, you can't replace Christopher, so don't try.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
that's not to fault. Like, I know women in this group, and they adopted children. It was never to replace their child
Mm,
that passed. They celebrate their child still, as we do. But interestingly enough, almost every mom in the grief group I was on,
mm-hmm.
and none of them could get pregnant again,
Oh,
because
interesting.
the grief was so heavy, and almost,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually the main thing that you're actually encouraging people is that you need to be willing to grieve, be willing to mourn your child, and don't feel guilty about it. And you actually telling us that time does not heal all wounds, as they say.
Yes, because the time healing all wounds, I really do believe that so I was sharing that I was in very, very deep grief,
Yeah.
but we got to a point, my husband and I equally, that we decided that it would be really terrible if our younger son had a horrible life because his parents couldn't pull it together. And that was the thing that, so we decided we would give Ryan, our younger son, a good life. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, it took a lot of, stretching. There was no comfort zone. So we were in a, unknown zone.
Mm-hmm.
That was what shifted, because I have, like I said, in this grief group, there were women who they couldn't, they just couldn't. And it really was hard on the younger sibling. Or excuse me, I shouldn't say younger sibling,
Yeah.
on the remaining siblings.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, in some ways we were fortunate in
Mm-hmm.
that. No, okay, this is not fortunate. I would have given anything to have Christopher. If he still had to pass, I would have given anything for him to have grown up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the fact that I had a 7-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
I had to get out of bed. I had to take him to school. I had
Mm-hmm.
to pick him up. I would drop him off at school, come home and cry all day long. But I still had to parent another child. We had to parent another child, and we would do things like, we did, I remember the two of us were sitting on the couch one time and we would make up, like, I was always looking for outlets for him to grieve, for
Yeah.
him to verbalize.
Oh, okay. So, in other words, it really takes a conscious decision for somebody to get out, to be able to walk through the challenges and the pain. It literally takes you deciding to work on you,
Yes.
because I've seen many people, they have a tendency of waiting for everybody to help them out, everybody to do things for them. And based on what you're saying, you're actually making me understand that if you don't decide to work on you, nobody can be able to get through to you. So you and your husband just decided to know what, we have to give Ryan a better life. We cannot rob Ryan having good parents just because Christopher is gone.
Yes.
As much as
Exactly.
Christopher is gone, we will still celebrate Christopher, but we will also celebrate Ryan that is with us right now.
You know, about, do we still have time?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We do.
Okay. Okay. So, so it was about 2 weeks after Christopher passed, and
Mhm.
I was sleeping. Ryan and I were sleeping in Christopher's bed because we
Yeah.
just needed to be as close to Christopher as we could, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I woke up. I needed to get out of bed quickly because I knew I
Mhm.
was going to fall apart, and I tried not to do it in front of my younger son,
Mhm.
but I always did. You know, you're human, right? And
Yeah.
so I went downstairs and I was sobbing and I was writing a letter to Christopher saying how much I missed him. I was typing it,
Mhm.
and he said to me, he
Mhm.
spoke to me via my typewritten words,
Mhm.
and he said, "Mom, I'm no longer your responsibility.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ryan is." And I
Mhm.
have to tell you, like, if there's any naysayers, I would have never believed that in a million years. Those would never be my words because I
Mhm.
still believed he was my responsibility, you know?
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah,
But you see, that's the thing that I love about life and God being our creator. He speaks to you through different things, through different means. It may sound unbelievable, as you say, you will never have believed that. It may sound unbelievable, but think of it, it brought healing to you.
yes, yes.
It brought
You
healing.
know, right then I couldn't listen to it. I was like, no, you know, like I wouldn't accept it.
Yeah.
But, um, but yes, it brought a lot of healing to me. And Christopher sent me a lot of signs, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were very, very close, and energetically, I'm very connected.
Mm-hmm.
Not just with Jin Jin Jitsu, just I feel
Mm-hmm.
things very deeply. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but he came to me in a dream maybe a month or two after,
Mm-hmm.
and told me he was okay.
That's great. I love how God consoles his people through different ways, and that was a way that you could be able to understand him, and he used that. So tell me something, through all these roller coaster, before we even continue, what sickness was Christopher suffering from?
Yeah. So Christopher had leukemia,
Leukemia.
and he
Jeez.
first got sick when he was 3.
Mm.
And then he got into remission after 28 days.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
so he was in remission from 3 until
mm-hmm.
8.
So from 3 years till 8 years, you had to deal with this.
So he was in remission. No,
Mm-hmm,
he was they don't call it cured, but
mm-hmm.
he had no known cancer in his body after
And he was
28
and
days.
he was okay,
He
completely
was
okay.
okay. He was on chemo because chemo is 2.5 years. But,
Yeah,
you know, every life was okay. He was on chemo, but little kids handle chemo very differently than adults.
yeah,
I didn't know that. I remember saying to his doctor, like, he has so much energy. Like,
yeah.
he doesn't get sick. Like, what's going on? And they're like,
Mhm,
they're children, you know, children are different. So, you know, he was in school, we were skiing, he was playing sports, life was, you know, so, and that's why I call my podcast Finding Joy in the Hard,
mhm,
because everything, you know, yesterday I was on a call and
mhm,
they asked, who is the most influential person in your life?
mm,
And I was debating between both of my children,
yeah,
right?
mhm,
And I ended up going with Christopher because when he was on treatment, but leukemia free,
mhm,
uh, I had to learn how to find joy in the hard. You know, he was still getting treatment, but I decided that we would do one fun thing a day,
Wow.
no matter what. And so then I put the focus on fun versus treatment and errands. And the other thing I started when he was 3 was a gratitude journal.
Okay. Okay. Yes, you can
And
continue.
so, what I was going to say, and I think that constantly looking for the positive, constantly looking, because this is how I feel. My children my older son would be close to 6 when he finished treatment, and
Mm-hmm.
my Ryan was a baby. He was
Was
a year and
around
a half,
4. Yeah.
so he'd
Oh,
be
okay.
close to 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like my husband and I held their childhood in our hands. Because
Mm-hmm.
most kids beat leukemia, right? So it was expected
Yeah.
that he would grow up to be, no problems, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I felt like we held their childhood in our hands and we could spoil them by just giving them everything, no discipline. And so we uh, we made an effort to just live life normally.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I was just reading something right now about leukemia. If anybody is listening and they don't know, leukemia is a type of cancer that affects the blood and bone marrow. The exact cause of leukemia is not fully understood, but several factors are believed to contribute to its development. One of them is genetic mutations. Another one is radiation exposure. Another one is chemical exposure. Another one is previous cancer treatment. Another one is genetic disorders. Another one is family history. Another one is smoking, viral infections, and many. It continues to give different examples but they say these are some of the things that can actually lead to it or contribute to it, but they don't really know exactly what is the cause. And some people literally they don't know completely what is the cause. And it's a sad thing to imagine that a small child can go through that. And when you hear the story of Christopher, he was I never met him, but he was such a resilient and positive young boy. Most of these things, when you listen, I wanted Suzanne to talk about this for you to know that despite all these things that she has gone through, she has decided to stand up and do something positive. Hence, this brings me to the next question. In all these things you're going through, because now having lost your own child, there are people who give up because after you have lost my child, and why should I care about other people's kids? Why did you decide to be a teacher? Why did you choose teaching? Because in
I
teaching you're going to meet a lot of Christophers. You're going to see kids that will remind you of Christopher. Why did you choose teaching?
I love children. Like, I love children. I just flew back from Seattle and there was a little 8-year-old sitting in the seat
Mm-hmm.
next to me. His mom was on the aisle. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
thinking, like, God gave me that gift to spend 5 hours with an 8-year-old because,
Mm-hmm.
Christopher relapsed with leukemia when he was 8. But I just love kids. I feel like there's so much opportunity for them to grow and to learn. And they're so wise and they say, especially little kids, they're so honest, and there's so much wisdom that they
Yeah.
share with us.
Mm-hmm.
We think because they're little, we often think, oh, they're little, they don't know as much. They know so
Mm-hmm.
much more than we know. And I really felt like I could make a difference. So teaching at the college and teaching the high school students, like, I don't really see Christopher in them because they're so much older than Christopher got to
Mm-hmm.
be. But this is the crazy thing, and I don't think you know this. When
Mm-hmm.
maybe like 4 years after Christopher passed, maybe 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
I was asked to teach yoga, since I'm
Mm-hmm.
a yoga instructor, to kids fighting cancer
Wow. Wow.
in
Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And how did you manage to navigate that?
So the email came through and it was open to all yoga teachers in this group. And I deleted it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then the next email came through and I was like hovering over delete, my finger.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt God whisper to me, this is not just for the kids. this is for you too.
Yeah.
And see, I was very stuck in, my healing was over many years, right? It wasn't immediate in any shape.
Mm.
And so I said yes, and I went there, and I probably taught there for about 3 years.
Wow.
And people would come in, and there would be another yoga teacher, and they would assist me, and they would
Mm.
say, "Oh my goodness, you are meant to do this. You are the most ideal person." Because if they were connected, so if they had an IV pole and they were connected to an IV, it didn't
Mm-hmm.
faze me,
Mm.
because my
Mm.
son ran around with an IV pole in the hospital,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you understood, and you could identify with their pain.
No, actually, the opposite. I
Mm.
could see them as children and allow
Mm-hmm.
them to be children
Mm-hmm.
without being, patients.
Okay.
So I we would play duck duck goose, and they were connected to IVs, and I didn't. And then get this, this is really
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So I
Mm-hmm.
wrote a blog post, Finding
Mm-hmm.
God at the Inspection Station,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because I was going to quit. 1 month
Yep.
into it, I was going
Mm-hmm.
to quit. I worked with a child that reminded me of my son, very
Mm-hmm.
full face from
Mm-hmm.
all the steroids. I was going
Yeah.
to go home and write a note to the nurse, like, can't do it, bit off
Mm-hmm.
more than I could chew. But I had to go to the inspection station to
Mm-hmm.
renew the registration on my minivan.
Yeah.
And so I get there, and I, you pull your car up and you get out and you wait online. But
Mm-hmm.
that day, the woman said to me, climb over the console and sit in the passenger seat.
Mm.
And I was like, what? Nobody does this. But
Yeah.
anyway, a guy gets in and he sits down and he says, you must have done something really good today. And I was too tired. I wasn't going to tell him where I came from.
Yeah.
So he drives ahead, and he turns to me again and says, you must have done something really good today. And I just decided to tell him, I'm like, yeah, I just came from teaching yoga to kids fighting cancer.
Mm.
And he
Mm.
got
Mm.
really quiet, and he's like, how do you do that? And
Yeah.
I said, well, I know what they're going through, and I want
Yeah.
them to be able to be kids. But
Yeah.
then he asked me questions like, have you ever seen a child die?
Yeah.
But the thing is that, like, I won't go through the whole story, but he asked me
Yeah.
a series of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I was explaining to him why I was doing it. And it convinced me that I wasn't ready to quit yet.
Wow. Do you see? Wow, our time is far much spent. I'm enjoying this. Please tell me, okay, in a few minutes or few seconds, if you can, you started a foundation, and why did you start it?
Christopher loved to create comics, and he
Yeah.
sold them on the front lawn. And I couldn't do anything in the cancer realm after he passed, but I really wanted to do something in his honor,
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah.
And so we created a foundation where we go into underserved schools. We bring
Mm-hmm.
professional comic book writers and authors and
Mm-hmm.
illustrators, and they teach the kids how to create their own original comics like the professionals. The
Mm-hmm.
kids get to explore the power of their imagination.
Wow. Wow. I love this. Please tell me, I know our time is almost gone, but how can people contact you?
Yes, they can reach out to me. They can, it's Suzanne Andorra Barron
Mm-hmm.
at Instagram. They can
Mm-hmm.
also reach out to me at hello@suzanneabarron.com. That's
Mm-hmm.
my email. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't share with you, but I have a newsletter that I
Okay.
send out every Sunday. It's
Mm-hmm.
partially mindset shifts. Like
Mm-hmm.
last Sunday was, did you get to choose your own clothes today? Right?
Okay.
We don't even realize how simple all the
Mm-hmm.
gifts we have. But
Mm-hmm.
I share a different Jin Shin Jitsu healing tip in every newsletter.
Wow. Okay. That's great. I hope everybody can be able to reach out, because you are a beautiful soul. And some of these things, some of these nuggets that you're throwing out there, they can be able to help a lot of people. A lot of people are going through so much pain, so much heartaches. And what's the name of the foundation, by the way?
The Christopher Barron Live Life Foundation.
Christopher
And
Baron Live
I'll
Life.
share with you, if you want, we were on NBC Nightly News recently.
Wow. Okay. So please, guys, reach out to our time is gone, but please, Suzanne, you have to come and join us again, because I still have a lot of questions I didn't ask you.
That's wonderful. I would love to come back. Thank you, Irene.
I would love you to come back. Our time is gone. But sincerely, guys, please reach out to Suzanne. She's gone through so much pain. I love her spirit. I love her resilience. This is one kind of person that you really want to reach out to. This is somebody that will encourage you out of your own pain because she understands. She can resonate with you. She may not have been able to go through what you're going through currently, but she has gone through so much pain and she has been able to stand the test of time. Till now, she's still navigating. I just want to encourage each and every one of us to contact her. Please follow her on her podcast. Listen to her podcast. You will get encouraged. She is a beautiful soul. She is a great encourager. She is somebody that when she speaks to you, you have so much peace. And she's one kind of a person that you can really identify with in any situation you find yourself in. So I will encourage you to reach out to her and just be able to get to know her and get to understand and allow her to instill some of positivity in you. Please make sure you have yourself a journal, a gratitude journal. Make it a habit because she has told us all that. Beloved, you will be able to go far and your life will never remain the same. Our time is far spent. Unfortunately, we have to end today, but I'm just going to ask you, please reach out to us. Don't fail to subscribe. Don't fail to speak to us. Send a message. Tell us where you're watching from. We apologize for some of the things that happened with the lighting today. Remember, we are authentic people. We are not perfect. So that's one of the things that will happen. But I hope it will not happen again. Otherwise, we love you so much and we encourage you to be the best that God has ever made because you are special and unique. Hence, I always say you are meant to be authentic and not flawless. Or rather, you are meant to be real and not perfect. I love you so much and God loves you the most. Bye for now.
Artists who are selling their music on Matumba online store. South African legendary pastor Rudolph Mabasa, the legendary Stephen Ngobeni, Apostle Neo, Pastor Triple E Bekweyo, legendary multi-award-winning Matumba Power, Mozambican Julia Magaya, Nigerian Francis Divine Gift, South African Apostle Peter, South African gospel group Bukona Worship Explo, Kenyan gospel artist Irene Solo, South African legendary Dr. Keddy, Brighton and Princess, Minister Jones, South African Walter Chabb, the legendary Apostle Petrus Mamahohi, the legendary Gift Makamu, Zimbabwean gospel legend Shadrach Muzakomba, and from South Africa Eastern Cape, Pearl. Kindly visit matumbapower.com and scroll down to Matumba online store and buy. You can pay through PayPal to email pastorpower79@gmail.com, or locate the Matumba online store FNB business account details. Just after you have filled your personal information, then click Save and Continue, and choose the Matumba Online Store FNB Business Account Details. After clicking the button, Place Your Order, you will see the account details. Wire a payment to it. After receiving your payment, we will update the system. You will then receive a link on your email to download your digital product. Thank you for your support. Pastors and authors who are selling ebooks, audiobooks, and their sermons on Matumba Online Store, one of South Africa's church fathers and revivalist, Apostle Joseph Sitholy,
American pastor and scholar Bishop Dr. Paul Taylor,
Bible teacher, author and multi-award-winning gospel artist, Matumba Power, Zimbabwean pastor and seasoned author, Pastor Benedict Chikonda, South African Bible teacher, and author, Mama Pastor Josie Sithole,
Bible teacher and scholar Pastor K.E. Tihuhu,
American evangelist and Professor Dr. Percy Bland Sr.,
South African Bible scholar Dr. John Mafukela,
one of Nigeria's church fathers and leadership expect, Dr. Shegun Tremendous Oshinaga, the South African author and Bible teacher Apostle Sai Shlungwani, theologian and leadership expect Dr. Gideon Sabila,
author and South African recording artist Lev Simmons,
Bible teacher and prolific author Apostle Sibusiso Koza of His Grace Tabernacle, and South African author Mitham Tando Usandlo. Kindly visit matimbapower.com, and scroll down to Matimba online store and buy. You can pay through PayPal to email pastorpower79@gmail.com, or locate the Matimba online store FNB business account details. Just after you have filled your personal information, then click Save and Continue, and choose the Matimba Online Store FNB business account details. After clicking the button, Place your order, you will see the account details. Wire a payment to it. After receiving your payment, we will update the system. You will then receive a link on your email to download your digital product. Thank you for your support.
Nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me when the time is right. Nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me when the time is right. The man in the floor beside her has been there for 38 years, but when Jesus stepped in, he received his miracle. The man in the floor beside her has been there for 38 years, but when Jesus stepped in, he received his miracle. Nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me when the time is right. Nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me when the time is right. Man in the city of Jericho has been blind for so many years, but when Jesus stepped in, he received his miracle. The man in the city of Jericho has been blind for so many years, but when Jesus stepped in,